Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream, the November Patron Hangout and Q&A. So we're going to start things off with a demo. I got a couple of snake sheds. So, snakes shed their skin. And I got a couple people, Jim and Jerry, sent in some sheds from snakes. So we're going to try those out. Let's switch to this view real quick and I'll kind of show you what we have. So pretty interesting stuff. I've never cast anything like this. I'm not sure how it's going to go. And there's a couple different things you could do with this. I'm probably going to save some of it, but we're just going to go for just shoving it in resin today. You could maybe do stuff with, mounting it to pen tubes and doing different stuff like that. That's a lot of steps and things that you have to do. I'll give you guys some thoughts. I'm not really that good at that stuff necessarily, but I'll give you guys some thoughts about if you're going to do that, and we may do that down the road sometime. But so we got kind of a more of a whitish transparent one, and I don't know what kind of snakes these are, but and then this one, I'm thinking that the clear one, it may be a little bit harder to see in the resin. This one hopefully will kind of show up a lot more. So it should be pretty fun. I'm excited. This is something totally different. What I was thinking for these castings, I think for this one, what I had pictured was kind of like a handle blank. I don't even think I'd want, you could do stoppers, I suppose, also, that type of thing. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to just kind of shove some of it in and use kind of a transparent resin and just see how this works. I don't really know. I don't know if we're going to have any kind of bonding issues with it. I don't really know, how resin how well it sticks to this kind of stuff. So it'll be kind of an experiment. That's why I wanted to a lot of times when I'm experimenting, the first thing that I want to see is just shove it in resin and see how it works. Because if you've never, played with it before, that'll tell you a lot, and it may kind of tell you, like, next time, if it doesn't bond very well, you may have to kind of encapsulate it. It was kind of like the candy corns, where you don't really want to be like turning into it or cutting into it. So I thought it'd be just fun to kind of make a handle blank and then also make some pen blanks. I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing. The handle blank will probably be a little bit easier to get through for the turning, and it's also, we can use like totally clear or totally transparent resin, and that should give you the best view, I would think, of the snakeskin. For pen blanks, it gets a little bit trickier because you really don't want just clear. Because you got to drill them out, tube them, do all that kind of stuff. It makes things a little bit more difficult to just shove in resin and then have it be clear and see the stuff. So I thought for those we could go for some like mica powders, go maybe a little bit on the lighter side. But the other thing about pens, or like pen blanks where there's a tube, you're going to turn it down so thin that it will be kind of see-through, even if you add some color to it, especially with mica powders. So I thought we'd kind of experiment with a little bit of pen blanks and then do a handle blank and just kind of see how this goes. And I also want to try, I'm going to probably put a little bit of both in all of them. Maybe for the pen blank brick, we can maybe put like the white skin, or shed, I should say. I guess it's kind of skin. It's not like a typical like a true snake skin. I think that if you're gonna make like the tube in pen blanks where you're wrapping it, I think you're probably better off going with a real tanned like snake skin type thing. I think that's what most people would want. A snake shed may or may not be as awesome. I don't know. So just some thoughts about that. So I thought we would put the white one and then the darker one in the pen blank brick, and then for this one we'll probably kind of put some of the white. I'm thinking that the colored one, the more colorful one, is probably going to be cooler in the transparent. I think this may kind of disappear a little bit, so we'll just put a little bit of that at the end of the handle blank. All right, so why don't we, let's see here, I'm going to switch to this view. Let's jump on this. We're going to do the handle blank first. This is a 2-inch by about a 6-inch long, 2-inch or so deep. So we'll do kind of a handle type of blank, and then we'll do like half and half. And so what I'm thinking is, one thing that I think we need to do is cut this, because it's actually like a tube of skin. So if you don't like snakes, which I don't really like snakes much, but if you don't like snakes, this might not be the stream to watch for you. But so I'm just going to cut this. Oh God. A little bit. And then I'll make it like, we don't necessarily need a whole lot of this stuff. So why don't we cut this down here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of open this up here. Cut it kind of down. I want to be cutting on the back side of this. Just maybe kind of, these are pretty dry. Now, I don't know if there's going to be any kind of moisture issue either, because I didn't dry them out or anything, but I don't really think that we need to worry about that. I think we're going to be okay. Should have done this before the show. Didn't think about it. These scissors are terrible. Let me go get some scissors that aren't terrible. Here we go. These ones ought to work a little better. A little smaller, but I think they're going to cut better. Yeah, these are way better at cutting this stuff. And so these are pretty simple. Now, the difference between a snake shed, snakes shed their skin all the time. So this isn't like somebody went out and killed a snake to to get this. So if that's something that you don't particularly like, then these are a little bit better than snake skin. And I've never really worked with snake skin or anything like that. I don't have any experience with it. I do know that they can be kind of difficult to cast tube in, which I think, you got to get the moisture out and seal it somehow, and there's bonding issues sometimes. So they're kind of a hit or miss type deal if you're doing, like the tube in where you just wrap the skin around the tube. That's another thing that I wasn't super sure. Stuff's kind of delicate, and once you've thinned it out, I'm going to actually go for the overhead view here. This is another reason. Oh, that's not the overhead view. What am I doing? Once you've kind of spread this out, it really kind of becomes even more transparent. So that's another reason why I'm just not sure that doing like a tube-in pen blank would really be the most amazing thing ever with a shed. I would kind of lean towards an actual snake skin is probably going to be more impressive anyway for that type of deal if you're going for that. What I'm doing over here is I'm getting a black tube. That would help if you had like a painted tube. See if I can get this in here. That would kind of help a little bit, but you're definitely going to see that black tube underneath. Oh, it's ripping. Very delicate. So it kind of just gives you a pattern more than anything if you were going to wrap this. And I think it'd be kind of the best way to go is to try and get, something where it has enough of the patterning to fully wrap the tube. That wouldn't be a bad way to go. Not too bad looking, if you wanted to do that. But it's one of those things where, if you're doing the tube in stuff, it takes a lot of steps. Like first you'd have to kind of glue it on there, let that sit. Then you'd probably want to, coat it with something like a Mod Podge, possibly. It's probably the best way to go before you cast. It is pretty crispy. Yeah, this is kind of nasty. What does it feel like? I don't know. Just like, that's a good question. I mean, it just really kind of just feels like paper, I guess, like a textury kind of paper, tissue paper, almost. I don't know. I mean, realistically, like I said, I don't really like snakes too much. I don't like bugs or snakes or any of that stuff. And so surprisingly, I'm not really that wigged out by this. Like I'm okay, you know, but I can see that some people may not, oh, I ripped it, may not really enjoy watching this type of thing go on. But anyway. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, now that we've kind of gotten that unraveled, the thing is, I don't think that you would want to just stick this in the resin, because you'd have two sides where the resin wouldn't be hitting it, right? And so it would basically be a cracked blank. That's why you really kind of, and frankly, you'd probably be better off like flattening this out more. But I think we're gonna give it a roll, just try it out, and hopefully, and maybe kind of move it around a little bit. But at least it's not like a tube at this point where like the resin's kind of not gonna get on that inside. I think if you could get a shed like right after it happened, and then, you know, cut it and lay it out and kind of dry it that way, I think this would be a lot easier to do. So basically all I'm going to do is we're just going to kind of shove this down in there. But I think it's probably going to be best to push it in after the fact, rather than just kind of let the resin, like stick it in here and then pour resin over it. I think it'll be easier if I can kind of open this up and kind of shove it in the mold after I've poured resin in there. Oh, there's his head. that's creepy. Anyway, so I gotta cut this one also. Let's cut this guy. Just kind of cut it there. I'm gonna switch back to that other view so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And you really got to be careful of this stuff. And I'm not very familiar with how like a totally fresh snake's shed feels like, if it's a little bit more, I don't know, less just crispy like this. Might be a little, I'm guessing that if you can get it pretty fresh, it's probably kind of a little bit, it's not just going to kind of crumble apart like this is doing. This is pretty crumbly. All right, I'm going to call that good, because we're only going to put a little bit of this down in this end. I'm going to do a little bit less of this stuff, because I have a feeling it's not going to be as I don't know, cool. So we got our cup. We're going to zero this guy out. And I said 0. Got to keep an eye on that scale. Sometimes it'll change on you. Is there a lot of texture? Yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of thing, same feeling. There's definitely some texture to it. I'm trying to think of what it's like. Yeah, it's kind of like textured tissue paper, kind of. Is sort of what it reminds me of, I think. I don't know. It's the first time I've ever, you know, had a snake shed in front of me, too. I went back to the pumps, guys. I really like them a lot better. They don't work very well if you don't use them very often. But as long as you're using them, you know, like once every day or two, then they generally aren't going to clog up. But they work a lot better for fairly small castings to kind of, it's just much easier, I find. I know how to use them to get the right amounts on smaller things. Now, if you're pouring large amounts, then get rid of the pumps, because much easier just to dump, you know, gallons in. So we need 225 part A. Sneaking up on it. Like, it's easier to sneak up on, I guess is the thing for me. Okay, 225, and we'll get some 226, just a little extra of the part B. That, again, for anybody that's new, most of you guys know this trick, but I add a little extra part B with Alumilite Clear or Clear Slow if I'm doing something dead clear. It helps ensure that everything stays clear and you don't get those kind of white trails or the white haze kind of in there on the edges and stuff. So I need 226, not a lot, just add a little extra because you don't want to be part A heavy, basically, in the end. You can get, I think the term, I think it's called blushing. You can get blushing if in the end the mixture somehow ended up a little bit part A heavy, which I measure very diligently, but adding a little extra part, it's always worked. I've always gotten good results just adding a little extra part B. So I continue to go with it. 218, 220, 224. Let's see where we're at here. 220. Oh, I went a little over. All right, we're okay though. 227 is what it came out to be. It'll be okay though. I was just saying that it's easier to sneak up on with the pumps, wasn't I? John's here. You didn't miss anything. We're doing snake sheds. We're gonna cast this in some clear. We're just going for some simple tests right now. I've cut open the thing. We're gonna try. I got a kind of a white one, and then I don't know what kind of snakes these were, but or what they came from. They're not snake skins. They're just the shedding of the snake skin. They call that molting. Is that molting? I don't know. Living the dream. Oh, I'm not sure if the pattern will show up. See, that's why I want to just do this. That's another reason why I want to try just clear, frankly, because I don't have a clue if this is going to show up or not. A lot of times things that are very light like that don't show up in the resin. That's why I'm going to use just, and I have a feeling there's a very good chance that the lighter one will not show up. I mean, there's even a chance that the darker one may not really fully show up. I don't know. So let's just do the clear, and we will have the answers once we pull it out, and we'll be able to see what's going on. Let's get the camera going over here. We are on that. Let's see. I'm going to point this down a little bit more. There we go. So we have our mold. Come on. There we go. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pour the resin in first, and then I'm going to push this down in, trying to keep it, the skin opened up so that both sides are contacting resin. Nice, I did good on the estimate this time. And I think rather than get my hands completely sticky and gross, I think I'm just going to kind of push it down. Like I said, I want to try and get both sides of this thing, covered with resin. I want to get it on both the inside and outside, so I'm just going to kind of push it around a little bit. This might not be a bad time to pull out a slow setting resin, because you don't really need to, it's not like we have to pour it at a specific thing. Here we go. Now I'm getting it. And I think we'll have plenty of time with the clear slow set. And then we'll put a little bit of this white down on the end here. Kind of trashing this whole thing. That didn't go exactly as planned, but all right, let's call that good. Pop this guy in the pressure pot. I don't know if you guys can see the pressure pot that I'm going to stick this in or not. No. I'll just turn you guys like that. You can kind of see. All right, popping it in. And then we'll pressurize this guy to 70 psi. We'll be golden. All right. We got the first one done. Now this second one, what I was planning to do with the pen blanks is now let's try some color. And I'm just gonna go for some mica color, mica powders. But because we're gonna be turning it down pretty thin, I think that we can get away with adding colors to the mix and then, you know, but not too much basically. So we're kind of going for translucent mica. We don't want it to be too, you know, too opaque. So I'm going to be kind of doing the stir stick test just to see, you know, make sure that you can kind of see through it. But I think it might be kind of fun to try something slightly different with these pen blanks. Now, the biggest question is I don't know how well this stuff's going to stick to resin. That's going to be the first factor, because if it's a terrible bond, then like none of this is going to work basically. Definitely not pen blanks. We may be able to get away with, you know, get away with it on the handle blanks a little bit, but pen blanks will probably come apart if this stuff doesn't have a very good bond with the resin. So just one little thing to kind of think about or keep in mind. That's why I just want to do kind of simple stuff off the bat so that we get, you know, some of these kind of simple answers back first. That way then you can kind of say, okay, well, it seems to stick just fine. Let's say that's the case. Then, you know, in the clear, it shows up in the clear. Then you can kind of say, okay, well, let's add some color and do some different stuff. So hopefully it'll kind of give us, you know, we'll take baby steps basically. So I got the P-Town Subby whole set of micas. I still haven't gotten the candy, what is it? I can't think of the name. Candy? Eye candy. I never got that whole set. But there are some pretty interesting colors. There's a lot of kind of the same, you know, as other brands. But P-Town has a couple that are pretty interesting. So this indigo blue. Yeah, it does look like, yeah honeycomb wouldn't be too bad. I don't know. We got a couple blues already though, but so this is just slightly different than other blues, and it's probably trying to show you guys over on a camera here. Probably not the best. Another one that I haven't played with these all. I haven't tried them all out. I've tried a few. This one's Carolina blue. That's a kind of a different blue than most of the other ones that I've seen. And then there's sapphire blue. That's kind of like that's a pretty typical one. I'm trying to think. This is kind of like, it's kind of like sky blue. Probably exactly the same as sky blue from Casters. So just to kind of put that next to it. This one's got almost kind of a violet shade to it, the indigo. And then that's definitely a lighter shade of blue. And then their turquoise. This one's just a little bit different. This feels, and I don't know if my camera is really picking this up, but this really looks a lot more like southwestern turquoise. I don't know. It's a little bit different than some of the other turquoises. And then there's an aqua blue. This looks like Paradise Blue from Caster's Choice to me. Kind of just a little bit lighter. So there's a couple of cool ones that are different. Let's see here. Is there any other interesting ones? They have a couple of oranges that are a little bit different. They have a couple different browns too. That was kind of an interesting one that I liked. So they brought a couple different extra things to the table. Tar Heels. Yeah, the turquoise was pretty cool. Let's do the Carolina blue. Let's try the turquoise. There's also a mint green. I don't know if I necessarily want to put this together with these colors, but just wanted to show a couple of the colors that kind of popped out at me anyway. Isn't that neat? That looks like, I mean, that is minty fresh. Might go with those, I don't know. Try a couple different shades of that. Oh, actually one of them. Okay, so this is one of my favorites out of this whole set. I haven't seen, this is called Camo Green. This one, I highly recommend grab this one. This is a really awesome green. It's just slightly different from like, what are the other ones? Spruce. Spruce has a little bit more of a kind of a blue tint to it. This is like camo green. Like it is nailed. Nailed it. It's a really good dark green. So I just wanted to share that for sure. You just got a bunch of them too? Yeah. Yeah, Fred was like, hey, we got mica powders. Would you try them out if I send them? I'm like, sure. Drowning in micas. So why don't we just try, let's see, blue, turquoise. So we'll do Carolina blue, turquoise, and let's try, do you want to put a red with that? They have a couple of reds. I'm not sure if they're really much different. Let's see. They got a bunch of pinks. I don't know if this is exactly like blood red. That looks pretty similar to blood red. I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell. Let's try this. This is called wine red. Let's try this one out with these two blues. Because I think it's slightly different, just barely slightly different than blood red from Caster's. Looks a little bit more kind of, tiny bit lighter, maybe, color. So we'll do that. Three colors. Let me get my little book out here. All right, so number 2, pen blanks. Let's see. Probably gonna have to cut up some more of the skin too before we start pouring resin. So we need 540. Let's just split this in 3. So that'll be 180 in each cup. And then we'll put, let's see, so we got to be careful about how much powder. I'm just going to kind of add some until I'm happy. I think an 1/8 teaspoon might work, but I don't even want to add that much. So I'm just going to grab a little stick and just add a little bit at a time and kind of look at it. The other problem is I don't know how opaque each one of these is because I haven't used them before. So I think it's best to just kind of sneak up on it and try to kind of get an idea of how much we really put in there. The other way to do it, I actually do have a 1/16 teaspoon. I don't know if I trust it, but I do have a 1/16 teaspoon thing that it says that that's what it is. But I think we'll just add a little bit as we go and we'll try it out. All right, so let me cut up some more of these thingies. And then, so what I'm going to do is just put like at least half of it is going to be the darker skin. So we do have a little bit kind of ready here. think, you know, here's another thing. I think actually if we just cut them in two, because it's wanting to fold over, and we definitely don't want this stuff folding over on itself. We want to make sure that the resin's getting on both sides. So I'm actually thinking it might be best to just take the underbelly stuff off. We'll cast it too, but you can just do, like, you know, one side if you want, which I think is going to be a better way to go. So let's get some more of this stuff. It's kind of creepy. I ain't gonna lie. Kind of creepy. I'm going to switch to the wider view. No snakes were harmed. That's one of the nice things, I guess. I mean, I don't particularly care myself if any were, but you know, there was no harm. It was just reusing. It's a good recycling video. Just recycling some dead skin. Donated by some wiggly guys. Okay. I'm telling you, got to put your patient hat on messing with this stuff. Okay, so we're building up a good treasure trove here of skins. I want to make sure that I save enough for more experiments down the road. Oh. All right, so I'm just going to cut this one up, and then I'll be done with the darker colored one. Getting the shivers. It's just kind of, it's not, I don't know, it's just kind of crunchy. It's not really that, it's not that bad. Could be a lot worse. Just think of it like Christmas wrapping with tissue paper. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. Just a little bit more. We'll be done crunching. All right, and then we need to get some of the white stuff as well. In fact, I think I'm going to kind of keep these piles separated a little bit. We're going to put the whiter stuff in like half of it, one side of the mold. And we'll put the darker stuff in the other one. Crunchy in a chewy sort of way, yeah. It's kind of weird stuff, I don't know. This stuff's pretty brittle. I can just rip it. I'm sure you could get all, intricate with how you lay this stuff in there and do whatever. But before I spend time being intricate with this stuff, I really just want to see, does it even work at all? Because a lot of times things like this, it is kind of a smooth surface, even though it's kind of crunchy. Stuff like this a lot of times won't even stick to resin very well. So rather than waste a bunch of time and then the blanks don't even really work, let's just see how it goes, this first time, and then we'll go from there, basically. We need a little bit more of the white stuff, so we might kind of have to use that up. There's the darker stuff, but there's a lot more of. Okay. Oh man, this stuff's just kind of falling apart. Okay, we'll call that good. Here we go. We'll get this all mixed up. We're going to pour it. We're going to do 3 cups here. 3 cups. And then we'll be on track here. So I want 180 in each cup. And then I'm going to sneak up on the mica powders. So zero that out. Pour 180 in here. Okay. 180 in this one. All right. I'm going to switch back to this view because I'm going to kind of sneak up on these powders, and I want to show you guys how much I'm putting in here. So for Carolina Blue, I'm going to start with just a little kind of dab of it. Probably going to need more than that, but I want to sneak up on this and see. I want to see how transparent these micas end up. I'm going to get this out of my way. So that didn't do a whole lot of anything. Let's add a little bit more. About the same amount on there. So it's still super transparent on the stick. What I'm going for is like translucent. I don't want it to be like super opaque. I want it to be, you know, I want to make sure that there's color, but when we turn it down into a, you know, these are going to be pen blanks. So when you turn it down, I want color to be there still, but also be able to kind of see that snake skin. So we still need more. It's still really transparent. Pretty nice looking color though. Still pretty transparent though. A lot of times the lighter colors tend to be kind of a lot more transparent. Now we're starting to kind of have obscurity. I like that. I think that's about perfect. I don't know if it's going to come through, but it's obscuring the popsicle stick enough. The popsicle stick's light colored, so I think we're definitely going to be okay seeing it through the darker skin or seeing the dark skin. The lighter skin, I'm not sure. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm hoping that texture, you know, because it has that texture to it, maybe that will kind of also help once we've added some color. All right, so we'll go with the turquoise now. Yeah, definitely I like with silvers and grays, definitely. So that's still totally transparent. I like this turquoise. This is a nice looking color in the cup here. I don't know if you guys, I don't know if it's really totally coming through, but that's a interesting mica. Never really seen anything like that. Put another one. And what I'm doing, I'm pulling some out and looking at it on the stick and kind of seeing how much does it obscure the stick underneath, you know, below it. I think I'm going to put one more. We're really close at this point. I'm going to put one more scoop, little scoop, and I think that's probably going to be good. I definitely think these things are going to look good. Like if you just dump a ton of it in there and go for like, you know, full on color swirl type things. I think these are going to be good colors for sure. All right, so that, I'm liking that. It obscures the stick just enough. So I like that one. So we'll put the turquoise away. And then we'll do some wine red, which I'm guessing is probably going to be a little bit more opaque. I guess, I would guess. I don't know. Now I don't have a wooden stick, so it's not exactly the same exact, you know, look, I guess. Because what I'm looking for with the wooden stick is, you know, can I see the wood grain on there? Amy, I can't really measure it because I'm sneaking up on it. It just, there isn't really a measuring spoon that will give me a small enough amount each time. So we're just, this is a case where you just got to add enough to where, you know, you're happy with the level of opacity. You could do experiments, you know, and figure out how much it really needs. You know, but this is kind of a one-time deal and specific for this. I think that's probably pretty good. And I'm, like I said, I'm just eyeballing it. It's not like there's no answer to this really. So I'm not that worried about exact measurements, but I think this is going to be a good mix of colors here. It's kind of an interesting one. Can you see? Yeah. So we got Carolina blue, turquoise, and wine red. Definitely, I'm pretty sure this is a little bit different than blood red. Just a little bit. It seems a little bit more orange to me. All right, so let's see what temperature we're at. We're probably actually getting probably fairly, so luckily it's kind of cool in the shop. It's only 70. We're already at 100, so I think it's time to pour these guys in, and I'm probably gonna, the problem with this, like I said, it probably would have been better to use a slower setting resin on these, just because messing around with trying to get the, you know, the color. Can you guys see? Yeah, okay. I mean, that mixture right there is pretty good. Yeah, this is gonna be a good one, I think. So I'm just kind of mixing them together a little bit. I'm going to definitely mix it all up once I start pushing that snake skin in there. But I really am not going to have a whole lot of time on this to, it's already thick. So we'll be kind of running it up to the wire, I think, on these. Oh well. Maybe you should have only done 2 colors. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of, because we pulled them out, I think that I'll be able to just kind of do it like this a little bit more. Man, this is going to be thick. Okay, this was not exactly how I pictured this going. I think it might have been easier to cut these into small pieces and just kind of like mix them into the cups. That probably would have been a better way to go. Yeah, so our colors are going to be super mixed up in this because I had to kind of hurry this. I don't think there's a good way to get to get this stuff poured in here. Add snakeskin, you know, unless you poured it into the cups, that would maybe work a little bit better. But that was kind of a meh, you know. We'll see. A lot of times, though, as long as you've waited long enough, you know, you may mix the colors up a little bit, but it's not like they bleed together completely. They're just very mixed. All right, and in the pressure pot. Whew. Well, that last one didn't exactly go smooth, but I think we're going to get some pretty cool results. As long as the stuff adheres to the resin, I think we'll get interesting results, even though that didn't exactly go how I would have loved it to go.